everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you my day 12 hashtag Art Journal Habit 2019 page. And it is also in conjunction with the full moon art that I do every month. I've been doing it since January of 2019, and so I want to do that on my art journal page as well. Hashtag Art Journal Habit 2019 is a daily prompt challenge all through the month of November. So there's a prompt every day, and I've been trying to make a page every day. However, I've missed a couple because I was not feeling well, so I need to play catch up. So I know that today's the 13th, and this is yesterday's page. The prompt was liquid, and so I decided to use fluid paint, fluid acrylic paint, which to me, fluid and liquid mean the same, two words that mean exactly the same thing to me. So I'm using some golden high flow paint. This is a very pigmented artist quality paint, but it has like something like maybe an airbrush medium or something in it to make it flow really well. That's why it's called high flow. So I let it flow across the bottom of my page. I used teal, indigo, and phthalo blue, and created like a river running across my page. And then I was going to paint my moon as well, so I drew a circle using a palette dish that's on my desk to draw a circle, and I got out some of the bronze paint. But what I decided was that it was too translucent. It wasn't showing up enough. So I decided to put in some of the titanium white. These paints, you can get them as individuals. You can get them in large 8-ounce bottles if you want. These are the 1-ounce bottles, and I bought them in sets. So I will link the sets that I bought down below the video if you'd like to find them with a Amazon link so that you can look them up and know what they are. They're a little bit expensive, but they're artist quality. So even with the titanium white, I still didn't like the moon, so I decided to go ahead and do collage on the page instead. You know, I love to do paper painting and collage, and I thought that it would be better for the moon, and I just ended up finishing the page with collage. So I blotted that until it was enough that I could go ahead and glue over the top of it. I think I dried it a little bit, and then getting out some color boxes, and this one has like neutral tones, rusty colors, brown colors in this particular color box. All scraps of different paints, painted papers, that I have. I think most of the ones that I use today are on deli paper, which is a thin, almost like a tissue paper, but it's waxed. So it's a lot more sturdy than tissue paper. Used to wrap sandwiches in a deli. So I cut out a piece. This one was a cleanup print from a gel plate session. So it's got crusty bits on it, and then I cleaned it up with titanium white or unbleached titanium. So it's kind of an off-white color. And I need to make the craters and the lakes and all that stuff that's in the moon. So I'm just using some other little pieces from the box, browns and rusty colors, to create what looks like a moon so that you can see that that's what it is. Just gluing these little bits on with Liquitex matte gel medium, like I normally do. You guys have seen this before if you've been watching my channel. And I just keep piling them on until I think that it looks pretty much like what the moon looks like. So this is the Beaver Full Moon. Why is it called that? Well, it is from the Native Americans in North America, and this time of year was a good time to set beaver traps because the nights are long and beavers are nocturnal, so they would be out working on their dams and things that they were going to plan on hibernating in for the rest of the winter. So hard to catch them if they're hibernating. So they would want to catch them before they went to sleep for the winter. And this time of year is a good time. And if the moon is full, it's nice and bright. The moon has kind of a an orangey yellow tint, and it's very bright. I did see it last night. I went out to look at the moon, and also since mid-September we've been having a meteor shower, and it was supposed to be kind of coming to its peak right soon here last night and tonight and the night before last. It's called the Tarid meteor shower. So when I was out, I didn't stay out very long. I've not been feeling well, so I didn't want to stay out in the cold. But not that it's that cold. I mean, you guys are laughing now when you hear me say it's cold. It's cold enough for me to wear a sweater outside at night. During the day, it's still very hot. But it does cool down in the night. I mean, the desert sometimes cools down in the night. So I didn't see any meteors. And I don't know if it's because the moon was so bright that it was kind of obscuring them, or if maybe there wasn't any falling right when I looked or whatever. But I do want to see some, so I'm going to go out again tonight, see if I can see some meteor showers, because that's pretty cool. It's shooting stars. I think they're pretty awesome. So I want to see some fireballs in the sky. Fire in the sky. So now I'm putting on some more different brown and rust and green type papers to build a bank for my river. If a river runs through it, there's going to be something that's holding the river in. Otherwise, it would just be a lake, right? So I'm putting on different little scraps here of paper, tearing them and attaching them, still using the Liquitex matte gel medium and an old scrubby brush to put them on. So I am going to go back and do the two things that I missed, which was Few and Mask. Those two I haven't done yet. I'll probably try to put them in the same video, and then I'm going to start back in, moving forward. Today's is Touch, and I haven't done that either. So these pages are fairly quick for me to do because they're only 5.5 by 8.5, and they already have a colorful background because these are gel printed cardstock, printed on both sides, and then started out as an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, printed it on both sides, cut them in half, and made them into a book. So they're fairly quick. I needed them to be quick. When you're doing something every single day, I don't want to do a huge thing every day that's taking me 2.5 hours or something. So, yeah, I should be able to go today and do the two that I missed, and those will come out tomorrow. And then I'll start up on starting from today, which I haven't done yet either. Yeah, that's my plan. We'll see how that works out for me, okay? So, beavers, they are an interesting animal. They're nocturnal, and they have claws on the front of their paws, and they have very large teeth. And what I read about the teeth is that their teeth continue to grow constantly throughout their entire life, and they're always spending their time chewing on wood to keep the teeth in control, because the teeth just grow and grow and grow. But they always have large teeth because their teeth are just growing and growing, and they're using them as tools to fix up their dams and houses. They build under the water, kind of. They build a dam over the top, and then their houses are underneath. So they usually go into the water and swim under, and then there's some kind of a bank or something underneath. That's how they build their houses. So if you're walking around a river in North America sometime, you might see a big pile of wood that looks like maybe it has floated down the river and got caught on something and snagged and built up a big pile. That's usually a beaver dam. I've seen them in real life. Up in Idaho, when I was a child, we used to go down to the river that ran through the town and play in the water. And there was beavers down there. In fact, my cousin actually got bit by one once and had to go to the hospital and be sewed up. It was a big old bite out of his leg. So I don't think that they're particularly aggressive animals. I'm not sure. He must have just gotten in the way of one, and maybe it was a female or something, but he did get bit. So you can get bit by their giant, scary teeth, but their teeth are flat, worn, not pointy like predators' teeth. So I drew a beaver onto my scratch paper, the shape of it, and then I'm making a pile of wood scraps for it to be on. And then I'll put that on my page just to show that this is the Beaver Full Moon and not some other full moon. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. Putting some wood for my beaver. I did look up a picture on my iPad to look at to draw the beaver and also to find out the coloring of the beaver because I know they're brown, but I wasn't sure exactly what they looked like really. You know, it's easier to study a beaver in a picture than it is to see it in real life because it's probably running away from you. So there was one thing on this page bothering me. Up in the left-hand corner, there is some red paint that was a crusty bit when this page was made, but it doesn't really fit in my composition to have this big red blob. So I decided to make kind of a vignette look by darkening the upper edges and sides with the indigo paint. This is still the fluid acrylic golden high flow. And I just applied it with my finger and blended in, and now the edges are dark and it's also filled out the edges and colored over that red section. And then I used some of the titanium white splatters to create some stars in the sky. Here where I live, there aren't any street lights in the neighborhoods at all. Like they are on the streets, there's some, but in the neighborhoods it's very dark. And the reason they do that is because there is an observatory on the mountain to the east of me, up on the top, and they don't want light pollution. They want it to be dark so that the observatory can use its telescopes and stuff without light pollution. So I do need to paint or color my beaver. So I get out some transparent iron oxide, some, I think that's probably a sienna or umber, probably umber, burnt umber, titanium white, and carbon black paint, and color the beaver. In the picture that I looked at, the beaver had very light fur around its face and eyes on like its muzzle, and then was dark underneath, and then the tail is very strange. The tail doesn't have any fur on it. It's looked like it's probably something similar to the pads at the bottom of a dog's foot, like that kind of rough, flat skin without fur on it. And it was gray, very different color from the beaver's body. So the beaver had a lot of what looked to be very spiky fur, which is probably repellent to water to keep it warm. And then the tail was completely different and had like kind of hash marks on it, sort of, or I don't know, strange, very strange. Also had long claws and long teeth. So I made sure that those things were on there. And once my paint was dry, I brought in some illustration markers. These are new. They're called, the brand is Pin, P-I-N. They're illustration markers that are permanent. So I wanted gray illustration markers, and that's the reason that I got them. There's a light gray, a charcoal gray, and then a black in 01 and 05 sizes. So I started with the 05 size, doing some lines around the outside of the beaver, and then a few lines on the logs as well to just kind of make it look like an illustration. And then I used the 01 to make kind of little hash lines, little dots and things and scratchy marks to create the look of fur. And then I think the last thing I did to the beaver is to bring a white Posca pen and make some highlights, make some catch light in the eye and on the nose, and then make little highlights along the top of the fur that the moon would be shining, and it would be shining off the wetness of the fur, where it's repelled water. So wanted to have some of that. And then I think the very last thing that I did was to use a Stabilo All pencil in black to darken up the edge of the river and to kind of darken up around the top parts of the bank, the embankment there. It had some white where the paper was torn. So yeah, that's it for me for day 12 liquid and also the full Beaver Moon for November 2019. Here comes your close-ups. Thanks. Bye-bye.